Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing the question, is your Facebook ad strategy outdated? I see a lot of Facebook advertisers using very much outdated Facebook ad strategies that are just simply not going to work for their businesses. I also see a lot of people who are really trying to stay on the cutting edge of what the latest and best strategies are. They're changing their sales funnel every few months, trying to figure out something that will work for them. So I think it's important for me to sort of discuss those two options and explain what I think you should be doing and what I think the best approach is when it comes to your Facebook ad strategy going forward. Before I get into that, I just want to very quickly ask you to smash that like button. Please click that thumbs up button, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new and haven't done so already. That is always much appreciated. Okay, so I'm in an example Facebook ad account here, and I'm at the campaign level, and you can see I've got the create new campaign window open. I'm at the campaign objective level, because I think when people talk about Facebook ad strategy and sales funnels, they often correlate those with the campaign objective. And that's obviously part, it's not the whole story, but that's obviously part of it. Now, if we think of, say, the last 10 years, almost 10 years of Facebook advertising, say 8 years of Facebook advertising, the best approaches to Facebook ads has certainly changed. Okay, that is a fairly non-controversial statement. At the beginning, when we first started running ads on Facebook, and you'd have probably, if you were paying attention to this sort of stuff at that time, you'd have seen loads of stuff in the media where people are talking about Facebook ads aren't going to work. People talking about the valuations on things like Facebook being ridiculous. Facebook ads aren't going to work. People don't buy ads from social media platforms. People don't buy based on ads from social media platforms. They're there to talk to their friends and all that sort of stuff, okay? It is what was talked about. So doing the more direct approaches where you'd run like a conversions campaign and you go directly for a purchase or directly for a lead was very ineffective, was very hit or miss, and it didn't really work because people just weren't really familiar. The users were like, what? Ad? I don't know about this. They didn't really interact with them. Perhaps didn't trust them. Relatively quickly, that became not the case. People sort of did a bit here, did a bit there, saw their friends interacting with ads, and they gradually got used to them. And now people are very, very familiar with Facebook and Instagram ads, talk about it all the time and all that sort of stuff. And even people who aren't involved in the advertising industry at all will talk about how crazy it is, the specificity with which, they get retargeted and all those sorts of things. So for, I would say, a good, 5 years at least, about 5 years. Going for a more direct approach for most businesses, not all, for most businesses, has been the best Facebook ad strategy, to go directly for the purchase and go directly for a lead. So people, when they would perhaps have started with traffic campaigns and then done a lot of retargeting, so retargeted with conversion campaigns, say 2013, that sort of time frame, 2014, over a few years later would then start to switch more towards a more direct approach as users became more familiar with it. So in terms of the structure and the strategy, I think when I'm talking about outdated Facebook ad strategies, what I'm often talking about is people running campaigns like a traffic or a reach or a brand awareness first, and then looking to retarget, and potentially having multiple layers of retargeting. So they don't just have one layer of retargeting, they have 3 or 4 layers of retargeting. To me, that's quite outdated. You still see a lot of people doing it. You still see a lot of people recommending it. There are definitely businesses having success with outdated strategies. I'm going to get more into that in a minute. So it's not like you should just completely abandon all that stuff and never go anywhere near it. That's not true. But it's not what I would recommend the majority of advertisers to do. Would be to have a traffic campaign, retarget with one, maybe retarget with another traffic campaign or a video views campaign, then retarget with a conversions campaign. Those sorts of like warming up processes in a sales funnel before you then go for the conversions campaign. There are obvious exceptions. I'm going to get to some of those in a second. There are massive exceptions where you absolutely need to warm people up. But for a lot of businesses, a more direct approach works best. But so that's the less direct approach. I feel is quite outdated now, and that changed and really came into its own maybe 5 years ago. But since over the last 5 years, the strategies that we have used have very much remained consistent when it comes to Facebook and Instagram advertising. Now, the tactics and techniques So the detail of how you put things together, how you construct sales funnels and stuff like that has obviously improved and changed quite a bit. And that changes at quite a fast pace. You know, even 2 years from now, well, even a year, but definitely 2 years from now, there will be adjustments to be made and things along those lines. But the core sales funnel structure or the strategy has been fairly consistent for the last 5 years. And I think now that people are more familiar with advertising on the platform, I don't see those changing a huge amount. And I think that's going to surprise a lot of people because they think digital marketing is super fast paced. It changes all the time. How can it not change that much going forward? And I think it's because there's only so much people can change over a certain period of time. Once they're used to something like ads on a platform, the sort of emotional triggers that need to take place to get people to take action are going to be the same 5 years from now as they are today. More or less, there might be slight adjustments, but basically that's going to be true. So a lot of strategies, and strategy being like the higher level, how do we construct a sales funnel, how do we get someone to get to the place where they're willing to buy, I think are going to be very consistent over the next 5 years. Some of the tactics and techniques are going to change. So there's going to be nuances like we use a lot more lookalike audiences than we perhaps did 5 or 6 years ago, right? That's like a tactic within an overall strategy. A technique is to use lookalike audiences. So things like that are going to adjust, but the overall sales funnel structure and strategy is going to stay the same. I mean, one example that I really want to give to highlight this is, let's say, a webinar funnel. Now, how long have people been using webinars, a webinar sales funnel where you run ads to get people to sign up for your webinar? They sign up for your webinar gives people free content and then sells them a product or a service at the end of that. People have been running that sort of sales funnel for well over 10 years. I'm sure people were doing it 15 years ago. I'm sure people were doing it before then. But that sort of online advertising webinar sales funnel has been very, very effective for a long time. Now, some people will say that webinars don't work anymore. Absolutely not true. We run campaigns for a whole bunch of businesses that use webinars. I use webinars personally. For the right type of business, they can work really, really well. Okay, they can work really well. So don't think they don't work. And so why has the webinar strategy been around in digital marketing terms so long without becoming ineffective? It's because of how basically people operate. So most people who are selling stuff at the end of webinars are selling things like relatively high-end courses, training programs, services, coaching, things like that. Right, well, in order to buy a training program, a course, a service from someone, high-end service, what sort of boxes do you need to tick before you're ready to buy it from someone? You need to know that that person knows what they're talking about. You need to know that you're going to get a good deal from wherever you buy. You need to know that whatever they're offering can help you achieve the objectives that you want to do. It's appropriate for you. There's a few others, but those are sort of the main ones. A webinar is a fantastic way to show that. In a relatively short period of time, you can demonstrate your expertise. You can show your prospects how you can help them get the results they want to get. You can develop a relationship with them to some extent. You can tick a lot of boxes quickly and effectively. And that's why they work, right? And that's why they will continue to work, because when people are buying courses on, whatever in 5-10 years time, they're still going to want the same boxes ticked before they are ready to go ahead and buy. Okay? So that strategy of a webinar funnel has been effective for a long time, is effective right now, and will continue to be effective. Now, of course, the softwares and the tactics and the techniques change, right? So, 15 years ago, there wasn't any ever webinar to make it look like you're constantly doing live ones, or to have that nice, fresh, interactive feel. Email autoresponders weren't as sophisticated as they are now. So the tactics and techniques have improved, but the strategy stays. Okay, and I really want to get that across. Once you have reached, let's say you've got a platform like Facebook advertising. Once you've got a Facebook ad strategy that is suitable for a mature advertising platform, and I think Facebook hit that around 2015-ish as a mature advertising platform, as in there were advertisers that established best practices, users were expecting ads and were comfortable interacting with them. Yes, Facebook's grown a lot since then, and the advertising platform's grown and all that sort of stuff, and things have changed. But it's still been in the realm of a mature advertising platform. I think once you've got a Facebook ad strategy that works for that should continue to work for a long time. That shouldn't go anywhere. So try and get away from a lot of the outdated multi levels of retargeting, complex sales funnels, having to do lots and lots of warming people up before they buy a $40 product, which is unnecessary. Try and get away from that. So you don't want to be running those outdated ones, which worked when Facebook advertising was quite new. But once you've got a Facebook ad strategy that you're comfortable with that works for today's Facebook advertising, don't try and change it up thinking this is how I'm going to have success. Oh, I've just got the wrong sales funnel structure. And you try a different sales funnel structure every month or two, which I've seen happen tons, by the way. And it's just not the right way to go. You end up bouncing from one thing to another. You never get any consistency. Things have temporary success. Instead, identify strategies, Facebook ad strategies that you know work. And I can certainly help you with that. And then if that's not working for you, instead of thinking I've got the wrong strategy, try and improve the elements. Like if someone like me says like this strategy will work for your business, that's true. It will work for your business. Like I'm not making it up. It's based on agency clients. We spend millions and millions of dollars on Facebook ads. We know what works and what doesn't, right? If it's not working for you, that's probably because you need to improve the various elements of your Facebook advertising campaign and the subsequent steps in your sales funnel, as opposed to just tearing it up and finding a new strategy. And that will be true for many years. Hopefully that's a bit of a, provides a bit of a relief for some that get stressed and concerned about operating with tons of different sales funnels and trying to overcomplicate things and all that sort of stuff. Is like, no, keep it simple, but make it better. Let's go back to a webinar strategy, one that I'm a big fan of, right? There are, a few different elements to that. You've got your initial lead magnet, or your initial campaign to get people to register for the webinar. You've got perhaps a retargeting campaign after someone's been through the webinar. You've got the webinar itself, and you've got your email autoresponder to get people to buy whatever it is. And then perhaps say a sales page at the end of the webinar, something like that, right? Roughly 5 elements. Go through each one of those and see how good you can make each one. Right, my email autoresponder. So my webinar isn't working. Instead of generating a 3x ROAS like I want it to, it's generating a 1.5x ROAS. I want to improve things. Okay. Can I get an email marketing expert in to help me create a really, really good email autoresponder? Okay, that takes me from 1.5x ROAS to a 1.8x ROAS. Fantastic. Can I improve this webinar? Can I re-record it? Can I improve the slides? My initial Facebook ad campaign, what could be improved here? Can I create some better creative? Can I improve the webinar registration page? Go through each element and improve them and stick to your Facebook ad strategy that you know works well. And I said I'm going to help you on that, and here's how I'm going to do it. I've created a free webinar called 3 Killer Facebook Ad Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. Now, in that webinar, I give you, as you can see, 3 different strategies, 3 different sales funnels that you can use that are very much relevant and current. As I said, tactics and techniques and things might change, but you will be able to use these strategies for a decade. Of that, I am very, very confident. And in that webinar, I sort of break each of these 3 down into their component parts. I also explain what type of which one of those 3, or perhaps which 2 of those 3 you want to use depending on your business. Now, I've already said that a more direct approach works for a lot of Facebook advertisers, particularly ones who are selling lower value products or relatively easy to understand services. It doesn't work for all, okay? For some, you need a webinar approach. For others, you won't want to use a webinar sales funnel to sell an e-commerce product, unless it's a $1,200 e-commerce product, but, most aren't, right? Likewise, you wouldn't want to use a direct offer approach to sell high-end coaching services. So I break them down and go, right, if you've got this business, you need this strategy. And then once you know you've got that Facebook ad strategy, you know it's not outdated, you know that it's current, relevant, and will continue to work, you can then dedicate your resources, your time and effort to making that as good as it can possibly be, as opposed to constantly jumping between strategy, between sales funnel, which I don't think is helpful or productive or the right way to go. Okay? So a link is in the video description to this free webinar. Go ahead and check it out, completely free. And I think you'll be very glad I did. And yes, at the end, I am selling a course, which you may or may not choose to buy depending on your circumstances. But you can see the exact process that I've just sort of described. So hopefully this video has been useful. A couple of things I want to mention, alongside the webinar. The first is our Facebook Ads Mastermind groups. We currently have 72,000 members in our Facebook Ads Mastermind group. It's a Facebook group, by the way. Amazing community full of Facebook advertisers just like you. I do free live trainings in there. People asking questions, answering them. Great community. Please go ahead and join if that sounds like something you want to be part of. Links in the description and it's completely free. And the other thing I want to mention is our Facebook advertising services. So my company, Lead Guru, is a Facebook advertising agency. We specialize in Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns. And if you want to get better results from Facebook ads and you have at least a 3K per month budget, we can help you achieve that. So there'll be another link in the video description where you can click through to our website and book a call with one of my team members who'll be able to describe how our service works, our pricing, find out a bit more about your business. We may well have worked with a business just like yours in the past. And yeah, if you want to go ahead with the service, we can send over the details and make that happen. But it's no obligation, 30-minute call. All we require is that you've got a 3K monthly budget in order to work with us. Best of luck with your Facebook ad campaigns, guys. And yeah, please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Bye.